everybody, it's Luna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, coming at you to talk about May of 2021. Okay, so first thing is, let's talk about Mars has just moved into the sign of Cancer. And Cancer is very much about nurturing yourself and nurturing others as well. Let's start with the self-nurture, especially in terms of, let's say, food, healthy eating, self-care, nurturing thoughts, It's almost this idea with Mars and Cancer about putting your own oxygen mask on, like on the plane, and of course helping somebody else. And Mars is going to be making an angle to the planet Uranus. I should have my ephemeris here. See the numbers better. And Uranus is about breakthrough opportunities and being able to create change. And actually, the sign of Cancer can be about patterns, So it can be good patterns or bad patterns. And Uranus is like breakthrough. So you can say, I'm ready to create new patterns of how I care for myself. Also it's about healthy boundaries, especially within family. And things that you think might never change because you kind of think they're just you, It's like, oh wait, this isn't just me. There's thoughts and beliefs behind this and actions and habits, and I can change them, So Uranus can give you kind of a new spin, the Uranus with working with that Mars and Cancer this month, and say, yeah, I can try something different and feel inspired by that, and then continue on in that new vein. So that's really positive with the Mars and Uranus. And Mars is in Cancer just for about 8 weeks, but it's the way over the first few weeks of May that is working with Uranus that is pertinent right now. Now, the other thing that's interesting is Mercury's going to go retrograde, and everyone freaks out, right? But Mercury has, retrogrades about 3 times in the year for about 3 weeks at a time. So Mercury is going to retrograde in Gemini. And for you Gemini people, and even Virgo people who are very much ruled by Mercury, it is a time to slow down, Mercury retrograde is for anybody, slowing down, again, looking at thought patterns, taking a deep breath, and I think Geminis are so used to just being fast in their mind and just barreling forward that sometimes it's uncomfortable to self-reflect or just slow down in a busy day. So anyways, with Mercury retrograding in Gemini, for you Geminis, it's a little extra bit for you. But everybody, Mercury retrograde is about going within, especially when it does retrograde in a sign that it rules, like Gemini, and the other one being Virgo. So it doesn't mean extra crazy stuff going on or kerfuffles, but it is a time to take seriously, like, I need to take a breath and maybe accomplish more because I'm going slower. Now, as Mercury turns retrograde, it's going to be making an angle to the planet Neptune. It's called an inconjunct or a quincunx, which is a funny name for a 150-degree angle. And so as Mercury slows down, because Neptune moves slow, it's going to be, and Neptune itself is slowing down to go retrograde. That's another story we'll talk about next month, because all the planets are always moving back and forth, right? But so Mercury normally would just make that angle for a few days, but because of the way it's working in the retrograde pattern, Mercury's working with Neptune extra long time. And it kind of reinforces the idea of Mercury retrograde. Neptune is very reflective. It's very gentle. It's quietly persistent in reminding you about what's really important to you. It's like a rhythm of waves, on your mind. So is that Mercury's retrograding, about Neptune's also about forgiveness, and feeling that your meditations are important, your dreams are important, your creativity is important, your heart is important. And so kind of touching base with this inner voice, this intuition. And that's going to be, now the Mercury retrograde, I didn't say the days, is going to be from May 29 or so to June 21st. But this idea of Mercury with Neptune is going to be from May 19 or so till about June 10th. So kind of preceding the retrograde. So it really is a time about being gentle with yourself, forgiveness, um, this forgiving yourself, especially for like repetitive thoughts, or if you have been trying to change something for a while, or issues with people that you just have real difficult communication with. It's like trusting there can be shifts and have the courage to look at something again, even if it's a millionth time this has come up, you know. The other thing that works kind of synergistically here is the planet Jupiter, which has a 12-year orbit. Now, Jupiter has been in Aquarius, and it stays in a sign for like 12 months. But what's going to happen in mid-May to like the later part of July, it's peeking into Pisces for a minute, just very the 1-2 degrees in and then coming back out. And Jupiter is about also the sense of generosity and spiritual possibilities and joy, you know. And Pisces itself is linked with Neptune and actually has a relationship with Jupiter as well, of this big-heartedness, you know, of cutting yourself some slack, cutting other people some slack, you know. So that also is working with this Mercury retrograde of just, you know, lovingly observing yourself, forgiving yourself, looking for different possibilities that don't have to be like right now answered, you know, but gently looking for signs or where the flow is, you know, and then going over there to see what that flow is like, you know. And the last thing that's pretty important here is, I'm talking about all of these retrograde things, but Saturn's going to be moving retrograde. Now, here's another word about something, is that, let's say Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, well, Jupiter's in there too, but they all go retrograde once a year, and then they go forward, you know? So, just leaving Jupiter out for a second, you know, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they're retrograde about half the year. And it kind of doesn't matter when they are retrograde, but what matters is that when they are turning around, is when we kind of feel it. So the Saturn turning retrograde, even though it's going to stay retrograde till October, there's also something about sticking with your values, you know, because Saturn is about your inner poise. I think of it like going to the chiropractor and feeling that all your bones are in alignment. You know, you work best when all that's in alignment. So as it retrogrades, and it's retrograding in the sign of Aquarius, which also has to do with your beliefs and principles and stuff, it's like, and maybe this also has to do with the world, hopefully, you know, starting to open up, about holding that still point that we've had during the pandemic, to be able to be more present to our lives in certain ways and bringing that poise forward, or just in general holding to your values, holding to your goals, even looking back and saying, you know, where could I, you know, if you've had some sort of passion you've been following and it's like, oh, where could I tune up, you know, if you're losing oomph about a goal or something like that, you know, and saying, what was I doing? Because that retrograde can be like, what did I do when that was working? And when did I feel good about that? Let me do that again, you know, so that Saturn retrograde can be like that as well. And going back to this idea of Mars being in Cancer, it's so much about caring for yourself. And that, I know it's going to sound goofy, but, you know, that self-love, when your heart is really attuned and open, you're resonating differently to others. Being around you feels different and brings out better things in others. Your brain, literally, when your heart is in alignment with you, is you have more capacity to have creative solutions or not respond with a fight or flight reaction, you know? So this idea of caring for yourself first and then having extra caring energy for others. You know, something I love, I don't think I've ever mentioned on the videos, is heart math. It's heart, like your heart beating, and math, like 2 + 2 is 4. Heartmath.org. And they are scientifically doing research about how the heart works in terms of course, the entire nervous system, but that the heart leads the brain. And when the heart has coherence, the brain has coherence, and that the heart always leads the brain in terms of coherence. it's kind of this whole idea of May is remembering your coherence. And, you know, as you are kind of we're starting to go out in the world again, I think of like in the Olympics when the gymnasts go onto the balance beam, you know, and they kind of run and they jump on that little ramp and then they do some sort of somersault and they land on the balance beam, and then you don't want to just bam, like just start doing stuff. You want to make sure you've got your balance. Like you did all this movement and it's like, I'm at my center. So it's kind of like what this is like. Am I still aligned with who I am? Do I know where I'm going, what I'm doing? Have I got all my, you know, am I just ready to go? And, but sort of checking that you are who you want to be as you step forward. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of the feeling of this month. And then if you're not who you want to be, it's like, how can you create balance kindly and gently to yourself and then move forward? So we are having an eclipse this month, and it's not the hugest deal. I kind of like to look at if they're working with other planets, and it's you know, Sun will be in Gemini and the Moon in Sagittarius, and that's going to be at the 26th of May. It is making a connection to Jupiter. Somebody like to know about the moon stuff, but it kind of is that similar theme about aligning your thoughts and actions and all your beliefs, and kind of that your dreams are also included in what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. I would say that's also part of that eclipse, you know, because Jupiter is that big picture, whereas the Sun in Gemini opposing Jupiter, opposing the Moon in Sagittarius, which is connected to Jupiter. It's about like walking the talk and making sure you're also walking a dream, you know, and a vision, and having purpose and feeling that there's excitement behind what you do on a day-to-day basis, you know, like touching into that passion about who you are. So, okay, that's it for today and this month. And please, if you want a session with me, you can find me on alunamichaels.com. You can text me at 248-583-1663. If you want to look at my book, which is on Amazon Kindle, it's The Spiritual Gifts of the 12 Astrological Signs. And, well, have a great month, and bye-bye for now.